In 10 days' time, we'll all be tuned in to India's Champions Trophy matchup, their first one, and we're going to be building it up right now on this Monday Night Live podcast, episode 66 with me, Avnish Shaite, wearing the Japanese third kit, and of course, we have Nikhil Popar and the cricket.com white, and a man who has a white background still on the river Nile in Egypt is Akshay Kumaraswamy. Let's start there. The globetrotter that you are, how are you and how's things? I saw a weird story of you with one of your friends who's a United fan, props to him, but he basically shot a video of you just cruising by the Nile. Must feel nice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Did a cruise last week. Right now, here in front of the pyramids, by the way. I don't know if you guys can see. This is with the pyramids in the backdrop. There you go. That's the pyramids. I don't know if you guys could see. So, went to the pyramids today. Did the very typical cliche touristy thing. Saw one of the wonders of the world. So, that was pretty cool. But yeah, been a pretty interesting week. Yeah. Drinking a lot, eating a lot, importantly. Great Arabic food. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, a lot of more great things to come when it comes to cricket as well in the month of Feb.
Interesting. I'll get your thoughts about how you had to follow cricket in Egypt. But next, you follow a lot of cricket, and we've seen some amazing cricket in the weekend, which has just gone by. What's the pick of the lot to just get the appetite on this Monday Night Live?
I'm in Sikandar as a finish. Always been a huge fan of him. And props, 19 ball, 30 odd. Team series, the entire tournament is on the line. And then for him to come good for Capitals, I think was very good. Am I winning a franchise in franchise league in SA 20 was also good. Helped that franchise get a few more bucks in. Baki, so yeah, plenty of good cricket going around. Rohit Sharma not back among the runs. Rohit Sharma again among the runs in ODIs. That's the best way to put it out. So very chuffed to bits for him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Rohit, we'll talk about Virat, we'll talk about Team India, because this podcast, we want to take some questions from you all as well and have some fierce debates with the guys in terms of who's going to be in, who's going to be out. So lots to get cracking upon. We, of course, will talk about random other things and best the rest, including the Barabati lights going off and what strange things we've seen in the cricket field, and a little bit of a WPL preview, at least from me and Nick's, because Akshay has done one hell of it with Neha already. For starters, Akshay, yeah, so that first question, how do you follow cricket in Egypt? I mean, for people who are listening from Cairo, what is it they need to get around?
So it's similar to the rest of the Middle East. Bein Sports is the subscription package you need to go for. That's where you sort of get all your matches and everything. It's fairly similar to Fan Code, by the way. So you get your tournament passes and everything like that. Don't know how it works for some of the smaller tournaments. For IPL, for international cricket, you get tournament passes. You can buy that. Or else you can just buy the annual subscription. So Bein Sports is usually your way to go about things. All things sports in the Middle East.
Well, I was hoping you'd say cricket.com and Fan Code, but clearly she's not got the memo. But nonetheless, Akshay, good to see you, and Nikhil as well. Let's get into it. Just use VPN Bros suggesting Shaswat in the chat. Sports fan saying hi, boys. Hello to sports fan. And Lord Babuma, hello to you as well. You got one hell of a bouncer of Willem O'Rourke today. We'll talk about that and lots more in this one. Right. Enough of the plugins of Fan Code. Look, I'll try to plug in something else which you won't like. Plymouth beating Liverpool. Santosh Urupa, how do you like that for an FA Cup weekend? Of course, United doing things great, but we can talk about that and you guys can slander me with everything. Akshay going on to say, even in the comments, not just on the screen, saying with injuries, replacements, venues, it seems like no one's talking about Champions Trophy seriously. I mean, no one's taking Champions Trophy seriously. Let's see. We'll all get into the rigmarole of things. Right now, we've seen India already take part in 2 ODIs out of the 3 against England, and they've gone 2-0 up, unassailable lead. Next, what have we liked, and what can we see in the next month or so with regards to this Indian team? We know that they're the finalists of the ODI World Cup. Are they Champions Trophy ready?
You would feel so. Couple of things to fine-tune. Yeah, those couple of things are very big. In my opinion, lower order runs for Jadeja, Hardik, KL, and that pacer problem. We don't know that the decision on Bumrah will be done closer, probably on the 11th, if I'm not wrong. So it is near, but it is too far in terms of we have no clue whether Bumrah will play or not. So does Arshit play? I'm not quite sure. Has Shami looked at his best? Not quite sure again. So, but Arzeeb hasn't got a game. So it's been a bit of a puzzle there. But to me, I think the biggest takeaway has been Rohit. And it was such a calm thing to watch Rohit score that century yesterday, because Again, it's not about the ton. Uh, when Rohit scores runs, you just sit back and watch him. I think there was no this was not that selfless or selfish or whatever the acronyms that people have associated, intent and all that. This was Rohit Sharma at his absolute ODI classic best. Anything full, he went after it. Clear planning, great execution, and he knew he had to be there till the end, almost till the end, in terms of seal the game himself with a very big score. So very happy that he did that, and augurs well for India going to that Champions Trophy.
Yeah, very well. In fact, I mean, we hope that we can see even Virat just score runs in that last game, just to be sure, because obviously we were talking about India's top six going into this Champions Trophy, and it was similar to what we saw in the World Cup. And Rohit, just fun fact, 32nd ODI century, a lot of stats in cricket.com, overtakes Rahul Dravid in terms of ODI runs, and even in terms of sixes. Now I think he's surpassed Gale, and I think only Shahid Afridi is in his sight. We've lost 3 wickets towards the end of both ODI chases for no reason. And again, it's those things that you like to nitpick. So, Greg, welcome to the chat, and please like this video. Had a blast watching Rohit Snock, and Shubman was equally good. Shubman has been supreme. He's the only Indian batter to get 20 plus scores in his first 50 ODI innings, which just tells you how good he's been in terms of the rich vein of form. Ayush Kumar also saying, Akshay, feel Rohit is going to bat deep into the innings and also ultra aggressive at the same time. If he wants to play that well, it's alarm bells ringing for the opponents. He would be deadly dangerous. Sometimes you see Rohit after the 75 ball mark of his innings, he's huffing and puffing. I don't want to really attribute it to fitness, but did that knock yesterday, Akshay, give you a little bit of a glimpse of what we can expect from him in Champions Trophy? And he loves this format, if I have to reiterate that.
Yeah, in all fairness, we've always been of the opinion that come what may, ODI cricket may, Rohit Sharma is a different beast altogether. I don't think we ever questioned his presence or even spoke about his form in this format. And as far as yesterday's knock is concerned, yeah, just the biggest takeaway for me was the fact that he was able to stay there, for an extended period. That's always been my bone of contention with him. It hasn't been his aggressive approach. Sure, it's great that he has opted to play for the team and be aggressive. But my only problem with that approach was कि यार तो अगर थोड़ा ज्यादा टिक जाएगा ना, it'll be even more better for the side. And I remember we used to get these questions, and I remember Nikhil Bhai and I, both of us, laughing at that. Should Rohit Sharma, I mean, given a choice, shouldn't he play aggressively and play for a longer time? Bhai, matlab I mean, Rohit Sharma also knows that it's not a compromise that he's making. He would also, of course, want to play for the side and play longer and score those tons. It's just that the approach itself is so high risk, high reward. The odds of scoring a ton go down drastically when you're going to play such aggressive cricket. So it's good to see this knock. I just hope that he's able to figure out a way where he knows how he can reduce his risk while at the same time keep continuing the same flow of runs. So good to see that in terms of his strike rate and all. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing some of the numbers yesterday that cricket.com themselves put up. So shout out to them. Hope that makes Avnish happy. But yeah, I mean, last 17 innings, just 3 failures, and the last such failure before the second ODI was way back in the World Cup. So it just goes on to show that he's been in great form in this format. It's a format he's loved. So yeah, just good to see him come good and score a big knock for his side.
Yeah, and a quality opposition as well, because England, even though they've been lackluster in white ball cricket, Rohit, of course, getting the job done, like Nikhil said. Shashwat saying you have batting till 8, Rohit doesn't need to bat long. He should capitalize the power play like how he did in the 2023 ODI World Cup. Good to great saying I'm not bothered about Rohit scoring runs these days, and deeply thinking about talented batters like Sai Sudarshan waiting in the wings, and lots more comments. Please like this video really quickly, guys. We always appreciate likes. And of course, if you're new, subscribe. We're moving way past 100K at this stage. Right. I just want to, of course, show you guys what India have been doing in ODIs since 2023 January, because that's a rough time period. Enough sample size to judge them before the Champions Trophy. And let's just analyze it right now. First up, let's just put the 40 games and what the record has, of course, been. Now, 29 wins, which is over 70% in terms of their record in the 50-over format. No need to, of course, tell you which one was tied and how many they've lost. One, of course, hits hard, which Australia, of course, toppled us in Ahmedabad. The point is, even out of the 40 games here, I think we bundled out the opposition close to 28 times, 27, 28 times, around there. about. So our bowlers have actually been able to take 10 wickets more often than not. Even if we kind of go into some of their statistics, right, and look at the bowlers and bear with it because it's a lot of numbers on the screen, but we'll put it on so just you guys know who's been top of the pops in terms of wickets. This has been sorted in terms of wickets, remember. So Kuldeep right up there. Siraj not picked for the Champions Trophy. Shami's had his comeback. People are still, of course, having a couple of injury concerns there. Jadeja will probably play a big part, you suppose. 3 firsts in both the games. Bumrah, Pandya, Shardul, they all are in the wicket-taking list. So essentially, what are we talking here? And we'll come to the batters in a bit. I mean, are we more worried about the bowlers or batters, guys? Nikhil, I'll start with you.
Yeah, to me, I think without Bumrah, obviously we'll have to worry a bit more about the bowling. I think Ravi Jadeja, one of our internal favorites, so to speak, the panel favorite as well. I think he's done exceedingly well to just show why he is in the team. And so is the case with Akshar Patel. But I think those two aside, there is that question mark on the pacer front because, again, you've seen 2 games of Shami where he's looked a bit off. Again, Shami, given time, I'm slightly surprised by him getting a new ball. You felt that right through the World Cup, he was great at using the older ball. And cricket.com also put out a stat about his average in the first 5 overs, first 5 to 6 overs, as compared to his numbers later. So that is something you have to keep in mind. So how do you go about the new ball bowling? If no Bumrah, why hasn't Arshdeep played a game? That is something that I'm really puzzled about at this point of time.
Yeah, Arshdeep starts for me all day long, not just because he's a left-arm pacer, Akshay, because he just, I think, has been really, really good for India. I mean, essentially, he's played, 8 ODIs so far. Siraj has not been in the squad, so you're thinking you need a left-armer. And Harshit Rana, I know we played him probably just to see how he does before he needs to fill in for Bumrah and all of that. But Arshdeep is a sure shot starter in my eyes. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100% agree there. In both formats of white ball cricket, Arshdeep needs to start for India. Um, based on not just his current form, this is the fact that he adds that different dimension to India's bowling attack, something that we've been lacking for a while now. We've always lacked a quality left-arm pacer in the recent past starters, and Arshdeep solves that problem. He ticks all those boxes. Movement with the new ball, importantly. Our new ball, that's where we've struggled. Like, I still remember those numbers from 2023, where first 10 overs we were hardly picking wickets, and all of it was being chalked down to Bumrah's absence. कि अभी बुमराह नहीं है तो फिर कोई न्यू बॉल के साथ विकेट नहीं ले पा रहा and stuff like that. Thankfully, we were able to correct it. Siraj, turned a new corner and he was able to pick those wickets. But this time around, once again, Shami, not in the greatest of form. He himself is shrouded under a cloud of injury. Then Siraj hasn't been picked, which means Arshdeep will be that much more crucial, to bowl with the new ball, to get wickets with the new ball. And that's where I think it is imperative that Arshdeep gets a few chances ahead of the Champions Trophy. And he's in good stead when the tournament begins in Dubai for India.
Yeah, I think he should definitely play that last game against England in Ahmedabad. Bumrah, I know, is in Bangalore for a fact because not just to see him walk about in the CBD, but also just to get his back checked that regard. Arshdeep lacks experience in Vignesh Ram. It doesn't matter, mate. I mean, what he's kind of...
किशन को खिलाया वर्ल्ड कप ओपनर में, ठीक है, कोई नहीं होता है.
Exactly. And sports fans saying, guys, when will we see the team management declaring Rana as replacement for Bumrah? I mean, essentially, they're going to wait on the 11th of February, which is tomorrow, to just kind of make sure that they have Bumrah on the Champions Trophy squad, because it's important for the ICC technical committee to give that green signal, and then Rana can probably be replaced in. There's more comments coming through right now. Next, I just want to ask you about even the whole Varun Chakravarti, Kuldeep Yadav debate right now, because one has to start over the other. So do you go with Kuldeep, who's been, of course, taking the most wickets for India in ODI since 2023, or Varun Chakravarti, who's had his tail up in recent times?
Yeah, but the tail has been up in the other formats. So if I don't want selectors to mix formats, I can't be the one doing that. So to me, I think Kuldeep starts. No win. And again, Varun hasn't played enough ODI cricket for him to be the ready-made backup, because what you have to realize is what Kuldeep offers. Yes, Varun is great, and you hope that he'll go well in the one-day format, but Yeah, again, it's like backing someone basis of a couple of games, and you'll be like, oh, but what if it doesn't come good? So then you haven't prepared yourself well, and that is something that I have an issue with, even with the bowling department. That there is no line of attack where you don't know what after Bumrah or Siraj, which is weird because if you go back to that graphic, it had Mukesh, you had so many people playing then, but then who have you pigeonholed that these are my guys, these are my next crop of options? So I think India's options in that way they look a lot because so many people have bowled, but then how many pacers are there who are now in fine form and in this setup? So I think that is a call India have to take. I'm very surprised that Arshdeep hasn't got two games. I mean, it was a no-brainer for me that with no Bumrah, it felt very obvious that Arshdeep had to play. Even more so, given that you knew that Shami maybe hit or miss with his rhythm, not fitness, it is with his rhythm. So, I mean, it is what it is. I just hope India are able to get the kind of get the combination right. So, to me, Kuldeep starts, but I'm far more worried about the pace department.
Yeah, okay, I agree with those thoughts because I feel Kuldeep does get the nod, even though he's kind of technically not in better form. But like you said, T20 form is different, and you'd kind of want to sometimes throw in Varun because he's thriving right now. But I think the fair call is have Kuldeep and maybe Arshdeep just to have that complete attack with regards to that. Sports fans saying if Varun had to taken a five, will team management have fast tracked him into the Champions Trophy squad? Sometimes thinking the team management is muddled as was in the case of Shreyas, which was also startling when it came out when we found out that he wasn't the one going to start. Without Bumrah, we need a wicket-taking spinner, and an ODI's Varun looks defense spinners to me. Interesting opinion. Even just how Jadeja's bowled 3 for 26 and 3 for 35 in both the games has given us enough conviction saying, okay, they'll come in there. The other real question, Akshay, is now we've seen Akshar kind of be propelled up the order to probably just I don't know, situationally come good? Or is it a strategic ploy now that they'll see Akshar at 5? And then it begs the question, is it unfair to KL? Because KL is almost the spare wheel of this Indian team. You ask him to do something, he'll do it. So now do you think he'll bat lower down to just accommodate Akshar? And do you agree with the move in the first place?
See, the move isn't the worst. I understand where the team management is coming from. It also, feeds to my biases of having more bowling options in your top five, top six. So I'm happy with that. But at this point in time, I really want to just be privy to some conversations that are happening between KL Rahul and the team management, because less than 4 months ago, we hear from the team management ki, we are going to back KL, we are going to give him some clarity when it comes to position and let him know ki hum kya expect kar rahe hain unse. I don't really see that happen, to be honest. I don't know if there is clarity between those two parties, because that's important. As long as they are in a position of knowing what's happening and they understand that, then that's cool. But yeah, like, was it necessary to do it at this point in time? Less than a month before the Champions Trophy and just 3 games heading into the Champions Trophy. I don't know. I don't think it was necessary as such. But now that they've gone ahead with with it, I hope that they don't bin the idea altogether very quickly and then just move on. First game was a bit of a failure for Akshar. Second game he scored a 40 odd if I'm not wrong. So a consistent run dena padega usko bhi, and it definitely helps Akshar's case that Mr. KL Rahul somehow managed to again get out early on. Again came at times when he wasn't necessarily needed. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's lack of form, if it's something else. Just the fact that he came on both days at a time where the match was almost done and dusted in some sense, where it seemed like ki, हाँ भी India जीत ही जाएगा and stuff like that in the second game especially. So yeah, I really don't know what to make of KL Rahul's knocks. If anything, I'd want to hear it from you guys because I only was able to catch the highlights. What did you guys make of KL Rahul's performances so far?
See, I'm not going to judge him in terms of these 2 games against England. I know like form is very important heading into an important tournament like the Champions Trophy, but he's given us enough conviction in the last big ODI tournament, which is the World Cup. I know what happened in 2023, and we're analyzing India's record since then. So if you're joining us this Monday Night Live, please hit like and subscribe. The KL chat is an interesting one, Nikhil, because I feel like, yes, he's ready to do a job for the team, and that's great. Even if you kind of look at it from a pragmatic sense, Akshar at 5, then KL, and then Hardik. It kind of just gives us a little bit more depth if we're chasing. And then of course Jadeja to come after that. So it just gives us options and insurance policies, especially when we're batting second. With KL, he helps a lot in terms of him the DRS. I think he's not been clumsy at all with the gloves. So I think you factor that in. People say that look at his average and you can't just shoehorn him in because of that. But I think even in crunch situations, I think he'll stand up and he'll deliver. I'm not saying Pant won't, but Pant is just made for the other formats in my eyes, especially Test match cricket. So that's why I stand in KL. And I think whatever job you give to him in this Champions Trophy, he'll do it and he'll do it really well. What do you feel, Nikhil?
Yeah, I again always been very strong on that. That I think we have spent enough time wondering what's his best use. Now that you know in ODI cricket that spot is where he is at his best at in terms of number five. So okay, maybe post the World Cup we have taken a call that okay he hasn't batted at that spot at all. So is number six his new role? If that is the case, okay, but then why would you want to continuously then send others ahead of him and give them game time? You wanted to give Jaiswal game time. You wanted to give uh, Akshar Patel game time, and okay, new role number five, fine. But then you are going to the Champions Trophy giving no game time where the game is on the line or something where KL can get himself into the game. What I want to realize, people to realize in terms of perspective is this perception will never go about him not doing well. He did well in that game against Australia when you were very almost negligible down for three down, negligible score for three down. Who helped you chase that game in Chennai? It was him along with Virat who set the game up for you, and he's played crucial roles. But the point is, we love to make a scapegoat of him. And now that in this format, the one format where we know he is, there shouldn't be no doubts. We are doubting him because he's hardly getting game time. Now, if you can, I can clearly say it is making a difference in terms of zero confidence in his game, and we've seen this so many times that he is a confidence-driven player. Where you give him that confidence, it will reflect in the runs that he's scoring. But if he is only going to come when there is nothing to win and everything to lose, that's how he's came in both the games so far. There's been nothing to gain but everything to lose. So I'm okay with Akshar playing at 5. All I feel is you did that in the first game. Akshar scored a 50. Great. Now second game, get KL Rahul into the game. Give him that game time. Give him that confidence. I am okay if he's going to bat at 6. I am just saying set people up to succeed. Do not just I can't get this priority that everybody else needs game time, but this guy has to adapt. Now, suddenly, there will be a pressure game in the Champions Trophy. Then, that day, if you send him at 5 and then expect him to come good and he doesn't, we'll again give him certificates about temperament issue, this issue, that issue. But how is that going to help if you don't get enough game time?
Yeah, and I think even Saresh Saha in the chat saying KL will come in at 5 or 10 for 3. I mean, again, you can use him and you can use any player for situations. I think India's top 4 will be set in stone, and then it'll play it according to the game situation, whether Akshar needs to take on certain matchups or KL just comes in and buys his time at 5. It depends, again, where you kind of slot him in. I think KL starts for me over Pant. I mean, that's no debate. Is there a debate on that, Akshay, for the Champions Trophy? Because why would you want to just shoehorn in Pant right now? Just because you know that, yes, this man is a game changer, and if it's on his day, he can take the game away from you.
No, there's practically no reason, no amount of X factor alone will get you into the side ahead of a KL Rahul, especially given the kind of performances he gave in the ODI World Cup. And let's be honest, yeah, after the ODI World Cup, this is just the 8th ODI that India played. So there's been not a lot of ODIs that way. So given that, we need to just accept it and move on. In fact, no, India just played 3 last year against Sri Lanka. So this is the 5th ODI India played. So given that not a lot of ODIs have happened, KL Rahul should be the incumbent and he should hold on to his spot.
Okay, the larger talking point here in this podcast is now we're analyzing that India's ODI record. Remember, if you guys just missed it, out of the 40 games, they won 29. So they're literally kind of winning 75% of the games right now. We showed you some of the bowling stats. Now let's just enlighten ourselves with some of the batters since this time period in ODI. Now, Shubman Gill has just been raking runs for fun, and obviously numbers don't lie. 1788 runs that he's got. So he's been a phenomenal touch. Then the usual candidates. KL is there in terms of top 4 run getters in this format. So even on basis of this, you probably want to play KL. He's got decent amount of ODI cricket since this time period as well. It's not like he's been injured or had a long layoff. And the other names are there to see. So I think it's set in stone, like I said, the top four, potentially the top eight with Akshar and Jadeja doing what they're doing. Hardik Pandya has such a balance to this team. You can't not have him. So I think top eight is sorted. Now it's just getting Bumrah over the line in terms of fitness, taking a shrewd call to play Kuldeep over potentially Varun Chakravarti, and somehow get Arshdeep Singh in. I mean, I wouldn't want to see Shami and Bumrah together. I know people would probably want that in some sense, but I would say I would like Arshdeep, Bumrah, and Shami and Kuldeep if there's space for them, all four. Even though people say, oh yeah, Harshit Rana comes in is a batting option, all of that. I'm not buying it. I just think we have to, of course, think about the left arm angle, and Arshdeep brings that in. Avnish, please pull out the stats of India's win percentage in ODIs and Sena in this period. Well, we'll try to, but I don't know why it holds relevance with regards to that. If you just want to know, we can, of course, get that for you. Arshin Rana going to play for Shaw Singh Shashwat. Pandya's batting record a concern at 6. Not really. I think even if you look at KL and Pandya this series, they've just come to kind of finish the job, but it wasn't really a case where they've thrown away their wicket in a scenario that they normally wouldn't. So I'm not really doubting Pandya or the lower order in terms of their batting capabilities. Jadeja, there was a comment about him from good to great, saying Jaddu is now pretty much like KLR when it comes to batting alone. He's in a quandary whether to slow down or go bang bang with the bat. And I want you guys to throw some light on why Jaddu being wasted pretty low down the order. Producer, please post this one. Nikhil, why can't we answer this one to him? And I think Jadeja has a certain set of role, even with the bat in hand, be it Test cricket, T20 cricket. But what is his role with the bat in hand in ODIs, especially going into the Champions Trophy?
Good to get by. The designated number 6, number 7 are not getting game time. And you're wondering why is India wasting Jaddu down the order? Where do you want him to play? Let me know that. Which position do you want him to play? Because then we can answer that. Because your top 4 don't have to move. Your 5 is the spot for the floater. Most of the times it should be Akshar Patel. If you want to take care of lefty and spin is what is being bowled. If not, KL walks in there. You have Hardik at 6. You cannot play Hardik at 7. So where is the place to play Jadeja higher up the order? There is no place to play him higher up the order.
Yeah, I agree with those points. Sports fan also mentioning, guys were skeptical about Akshar and Jadeja and 111, but it all looks fine now. It does. Sports fans saying, why do we always be in a situation where the score is 10 for 3, 5 for 3 knockout IC events and not any other matches or bilateral? I think we should initially plan to do that, even though it's not and it's cynical. We can't prep for that. It's like almost taking penalty kicks in a nearby park. You're never going to replicate what's going to happen out there in a big pressure and big game situation. Asim Mans, welcome to the show. Are Kohli's frailties against all kinds of spin a big worry? How will he build the innings? I'm not too perturbed with Kohli and his spin frailties, at least in this format. We saw again how Adil Rashid has made his truly Virat Kohli's bunny. I think he's got him out the most in terms of an international spinner. But Akshay, you worried about spin against Kohli in the Champions Trophy?
Yeah, man. To be honest, it's not just the fact that he's getting out to spin. That's always been a problem with him. It's just the whole situation and just how the last few months have been for Virat Kohli. That's what probably, scares me a bit more than just the last 2 dismissals in isolation. And also, Adil Rashid again, an excellent spinner to say the very least. So we understand, we get that. But the fact that he does not even want to spend some time, and then you take into account how he played the BGT and how he was getting out there and earlier as well. Like, I know different formats and all of that, but I really think it'll be difficult. Yeah, it'll be very difficult. Technically, we've discussed his issues against Avasement. There you go, Nikhil. Also, Nikhil Baiju, that is also going on to reiterate the fact. The average itself might be higher. It is similar to that his T20 strike rate against spin. High average, low strike rate. He knows that his job here is to preserve his wicket. He gets into that wicket preservation mode, and that's what tends to hamper his side's fortunes. But I just want to believe that this is his format. This is the format where he's excelled in time and time again for the last 15 years. And ICC events and all of that usually tend to get the best of him. We all know what he did in the ODI World Cup in 2023. So on that front, yeah, there is still some, there's still something we can hold on to. But yeah, I still am very much, on the side of being pessimistic when it comes to him.
I honestly think he could light it up this tournament. Again, not speaking from a Virat fan perspective, but generally, I think big game player and all of that, he'll come good. So, final question in this chapter that we're discussing right now is pretty much what we've been alluding to in the previous MNLs. We'll probably do a nice preview of it in terms of the Champions Trophy build-up on the Hindi live, and later this week we will probably be having two great esteemed fans, international fans, to preview the tournament with us. But right now, Nikhil, what do India need to do to win the Champions Trophy? Now, even if we scan and look at the oppositions, Australia don't have Cummins and Hazelwood. We don't hold their captain, even though they will be one of the contenders. South Africa probably are looking really tip-top right now, given what even the bench strength has been flexed kind of in this tri-series. England, even though they are up against India, I feel like they have a lot of match winners, and on their day they can just take it away. And then New Zealand will always be up and about in the ICC competitions. Pakistan, I feel like essentially everyone's been dubbing them as favorites. Who knows if they get the crowd and everyone to come to their kind of support, maybe they can just cause a few problems. But point is 4, 5, 6 options. I'm not discounting Afghanistan, I'm not discounting Bangladesh, but I'm just talking about who India's real threat is in the Champions Trophy. And do you think it just comes down to the day? Because I feel India will probably win all their games, and then maybe in the final they'll stumble. Is that the script this time around, or do you think we can win it?
Well, I genuinely think we can win it. And again, to me, there are, as I said, clear areas where I feel India have to do much better. And again, this is not in comparison to what others are doing. If you ask me of a bucket list, it will probably be probably a few centuries for Virat. At this point, I will take 50s also. But your number 3 scoring plenty of runs. Your spinner taking a lot of wickets in terms of continue to do so, because we have to remember Jadeja has been taking wickets in bilaterals, but not always in knockouts. Small things matter, but they matter. So if not him, if Kuldeep can do it, then nothing like it. And new ball wickets. I think these 3 are at the top of my head in terms of the 3 top things that I want India to do, and that is get their number 3 to score a few runs, continue to have their lead spinner take a lot of wickets, and that is multiples in terms of 2 or 3, and new ball wickets with pace, because I think we've missed that in the first game and also in the second game, where in the T20s you have Arshdeep doing it. In ODIs, Arshdeep is not there, and we are using it to see how Shami and Harshit go. But in the Championship, whoever plays, new ball wickets are paramount. So I think if India do these 3 things, given how Gill has looked, given how Kohli, given how Rohit has shaped up in that last game, I think those are the just few spots that we need to find you.
Yeah, I was looking at the 2023 ODI World Cup in build-up of this podcast, Akshay, and I just realized that it was key guys standing up at the right times. You had your big guns firing up, so your Virat, Rohit, top form, Gill just played a perfect foil in terms of those accelerated Rohit starts. Shreyas lit it up in a few games, KL lit it up in a few games, and then Shami came at the back end and then ended up being the highest wicket taker of the tournament. Bumrah, we knew how important he was right throughout the tournament. So does it have to be a complete performance? And it can't just be 3 or 4 guys taking India over the line in a few games, right?
Yeah, I mean, historically, we've always seen, a side with more match winners, a side which has seen performances throughout, that have ended up winning the tournaments. You can, I mean, I'll have to go to that cliche, who batters win you matches and bowlers win you tournaments. I guess the crux of it is that, once again, I don't think one bowler can win you a tournament. You still need that entire group. You need everyone to be firing over there as well. And that's what worked for India in the 2023 World Cup. Like the fact that they were able to make it to the final, to see the number of match winners we had. Be it Rohit Sharma with the starts, be it Virat Kohli, then Shreyas Iyer, then KL Rahul, Mohammad Shami, Jasprit Bumrah. So just the fact, and I haven't even mentioned a few names, I know Kuldeep Yadav and the likes, but the fact that we had so many people clicking together, that went a long way in ensuring that we did do well. So I'm expecting something similar this time around as well. Sure, we might not be looking just as good as we did before the World Cup began, but even then, yeah, there's enough reason to believe why India will start favourites, apart from your usual set of reasons. Just like you guys mentioned earlier, the fact that so many of these sides will be playing their not necessarily the best 11s already puts India in a position of advantage. Now it's all about how India acclimatizes to Dubai. I mean, to the venues in Dubai. They haven't played in ODI there since 2018, if I'm not wrong. I don't think they've played anything over there. So that's a good 6.5 years ago. So yeah, just they need to get used to it, and yeah, they should be able to do well.
Yeah, they had some relatively good success in Dubai of late. We think about that 2018 Asia Cup success that Rohit Sharma was captain of there as well. So I feel like even if you look at the 2023 ODI World Cup as an Indian fan going into the Champions Trophy, it'll tell you that, yeah, India chased down in the first 5 games of that World Cup campaign, and then they won, I think, batting first in the next 5 games. And then, of course, no need to remind ourselves what happened in the final. But this is a short tournament. That's why I think India, of course, momentum will be big for every team. But with India, I think if they get the job done in the first 2 games and 3 games and go into the knockout stages flying, they can get over the line. I feel like the venue playing a part as well. India not traveling, they don't have to worry about those kind of small things. Goes a long way in a tournament like the Champions Trophy. Final words with Nikhil right now before we talk about the best of the rest and move on and talk about a whole host of things in the cricketing world. Nikhil, if you had to tell me right now, India will make the final of the Champions Trophy, is that 100% yes? But then the question comes, is India winning the Champions Trophy? Is that 100% yes? So which is 100%?
Crazy to put 100% for either of those. You would assume that given how you mentioned every team and their possible frailties, you feel, let's use the word that is often been used on this platform, it will be a failure if India don't make it to the final. Let's put it that way, in the famous words of Somesh, that I'd be disappointed and I'll count it as a failure if India don't make it to the final. Once you get there, I think it's not in anybody's hand. You have to still do what you do well. But there, I am okay with however things go, because again, knockouts, strange things happen. So to me, I expect India to make it to the final. But yeah, that's it.
And I agree with you. I think with Bumrah in your squad or without Bumrah in your squad, I think India have to make the final. I'm just saying that as a normal, confident Indian fan, not being a cocky one, purely because of the fact that even if you look at India, dare I say, crashing out in the group stage, it'll just be that transition time being a catalyst for sure. Vignesh Ram saying no more finals. I need the cup. I cannot handle anymore. And in my opinion, New Zealand will qualify for sure from our group, and whoever wins the India-Pak match will qualify. So India Pak's a virtual knockout saying sports fan. Vignesh Ram also, we're saying if Bumrah's injured, very, very tough. Shashwat reckoning in India-New Zealand final. And Greg saying if we get to the final, we are winning it. Look, keep your comments coming through, guys. Want to talk to you about a lot of other things in terms of the world of cricket. We also have Akshay's quiz, who Nikhil got instantly in the WhatsApp chat. So that's something that you guys should really partake in later on in the show. But first up, let's move on to best of the rest, because there's so much to talk about. Right, let's talk about Sri Lanka versus Australia, because that was an international fixture at the last week rather, and Sri Lanka losing, Australia winning rather. I should just put it in a way that they're 14 years later, pretty much, getting the job done in the Emerald Island. Steve Smith coming to the fore, Australia pretty much really, I don't know how to put it, just kind of oiling themselves before the WTC final. And then lots of stats, lots of takeaways. Alex Carey was good. Inglis made his debut. Stark was as tight as usual. What other things that you guys found compelling in the Sri Lanka-Australia Test series, which went by? Nikhil, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it's not slightly. Very disappointed by Sri Lanka's batting. Genuinely felt there was a lot more room. Given how conditions were, especially in the first test. The second, you can still say, okay, maybe tougher deck was doing a bit more as compared to the first. But some of those dismissals, Angelo Matthews, just before close-up play, wanting to play a shot, getting outside the line and looking to sweep one away. You need your senior players to come in and score big. That is what has been the cornerstone of them doing well at home. So I think that is something Sri Lanka would have missed. Chandimal was again doing Chandimal thing, so that was good. But I think they missed a lot of batting effort. In the first test, I think the moment they lost the toss, they knew that Australia is not going to give them any chance of any position. And two things stuck with me. One is no umpire wanted to give anything in favor of Sri Lanka. I have no idea why. It almost felt like every Sri Lanka had to create 2 wickets chances for them to take on, because every umpire's call went in favor of Australia. And some of those dismissals looked plumb but were not given. And Sri Lanka were very generous in the first test. They dropped everyone. I mean, Steve Smith was dropped on one. So, वहाँ से if you allow Steve Smith to score runs, he's not going to let you go. So, I think the manner of Smith scoring runs was very, very scary, and it just tells you how. And that's what we love about champions. No, few test matches back, we are wondering where will Steve Smith score his next turn, and he goes to Sri Lanka in Gaul, not quite the best of conditions to bat, and then he gets himself to massive scores. So, hats off to his mental fortitude, because eventually it comes down to it in terms of how well prepared he was to take on that challenge. So, yeah, well done, Steve Smith.
Yeah, brilliant. Sri Lanka, Australia, by the way, have a ODI series also in the time to come. But Sri Lanka, of course, not happy. Australia thrilled to get their hands on that Warren Murali Trophy, as you can see there. So props to Australia. Lots of crazy stats. Vignesh Ram saying Steve Smith is the new Sachin. Steve Smith has hit second highest number of Test centuries in Sri Lanka. 4 Test Sachin tops the list with 5 centuries. And in fact, the Smith 100 now was his 24th Test done in a winning cause, which is just 6 behind Ricky Ponting, who has the most in terms of Test match winning tons. So again, just stamping his authority further in the longest format. KK Bhaskar Subramanian saying everyone's back except inform Kohli. Inform except Kohli. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough to take from that regard. Steve Smith was not the best Australian in the Sri Lankan series. Who was? Let us know, Greg, if you think that's something to talk about. Akshay, did you check out any of the Sri Lanka Australia Test series highlights at all?
The first test, yes, not the second test. But what I've been surprised with, just the fact that Australia managed to outbat a side in Asia. It's not something we see often enough, at least not outside Pakistan. And that's what surprised me mainly. That was my biggest takeaway from the series. I don't know if it's a reflection of Australia's batters and how well they have batted, or was it Sri Lanka's bowling and fielding efforts? Was it the surface itself? Gaul, I don't remember too many scores in excess of 600. यार यहाँ पे 400 के ऊपर भी इन्होंने 2 बार बना लिया, and the fact that they were able to win so comfortably by an innings in the second test, so that was speaking something. But a question to both of you, or Nikhil bhai maybe. Steve Smith has gotten those runs. Now, where does that leave Manas Labuschagne? Because BGT se pehle there was already calls for his axing. They were like, he hasn't been in the greatest of form. He had a couple of decent innings there, but yet again 3 failures in Sri Lanka. Do you think his rope has ended, or it's soon ending?
Yeah, I mean, Avnish is sure his rope is not ended. I think poor Manas will feel that this was the party that he was invited but not invited. Everybody got runs. Howzzaat got runs. Smith was always going to get runs. Head got runs. English came in and got runs. Carey got runs. I think Manas was completely out of sorts. You look at the dismissal that he had in the second test, completely played down the wrong line, and that can happen. But again, it is something that I have always been with Manas, that I always felt he had a run which I never felt. It is very harsh to say it never deserved. He deserved whatever he got, but I just felt the process that he had when he came good, it involved a lot of luck helping him. Now that luck is not helping him, it feels that he's caught in a strange land where he's getting starts also, but not converting them into anything substantial, which happened against India at times, where he got a couple of good starts but could not convert. I honestly feel Nathan McSweeney is the guy that they should get in, give him game time, because I don't know how long can you survive with. See, you can allow Smith that time because Smith is Smith. I don't know if the same rope can be handed over to somebody like a Manas Labuschagne, but again, it's a debate that maybe Melville can give more light upon in the write-ups coming forward.
Yeah, Melville, key that you mentioned that. Steve Smith, of course, I think spoke about Manas's form and said that it's just around the corner. Hopefully, he can get some runs under his belt. And knowing how Australia and their test selectors have been with that 11, that 15 over the last 4, 5, 6 years, I think they'll stick rather than twist with Labuschagne. Let's talk about another test match which got our eye, which was happening in the Southern Hemisphere as well, in Zimbabwe, with Ireland pulling off something remarkable thanks to a left arm spinner, William Humphrey, doing amazing things there. If you guys didn't check it out, check it out. It's on Fan Code, all the highlights. Akshay, did you see any of that? Because I was looking at the first day of that test and I was looking at Blessing Muzrabani because he had just flown in from the ILT20, comes in, takes a 7 for, then follows it up with a 40 odd with a bat. So I was just like, dude, this guy's incredible for him to translate form from one format to the other. So I'm going to skip Akshay's thoughts because clearly he's going to be lying to you saying that he's watched the game, but he hasn't. So Nix, did you see it? I mean, in all honesty, none of us probably saw every passage of play or every ball, but what did you make of it with the scorecards and the highlights and the clips?
I mean, I saw the start. It was crazy how Ireland began 20 odd for 4 and Blessing Muzrabani getting the ball to bounce so much, everybody getting up, trying to comprehend that. But then you had McBride and Mark Adair. I mean, saw that partnership happen and you feel so much calm. I think McBride is very underrated in terms of, he's known for his bowling, but he's played quite a few number of handy knocks with the bat. And it was to the 4, 90 not out. That's the only man who did not get out in terms of the first innings, because what a score. Even Nick Welch, who was on debut for Zimbabwe, got a good 90 odd. Missed out because of a great catch from Harry Tector. But those were the only 2 guys who made runs because it was a very good deck to bowl. You had Barry McCarthy doing well. And the good part was it was a test which was a seesaw kind of thing. You had them, Ireland were on the mat, and then they got 260. Zimbabwe were on the mat, and then Blessing Muzrabani had a reincarnation of some batting genius, and he ended up scoring, giving them a 7-run lead. So Ireland then needed somebody to step up, and again, for a good time, Andy Balbani did that. I think he was also very good. So it was a test which was weird to juggle between so many games because there are so many series happening. At once, in my notes, I was confused which sheet I am on. This is the ILT20 sheet. This is the Legends 90 sheet. Oh no, this is the Ireland Wala sheet. So it is good actually in terms of them playing game because they haven't played a lot of Test cricket in terms of to fall back on. But Ireland have now won 3 in a row if I'm not wrong. So plenty to cherish for Ireland. And Humphrey, as you talk about, poor Wesley Madhavre tried his best, but the target always looked too far to chase for Zimbabwe.
Yeah, absolutely. Sports fans saying don't even know the result of this one. Ireland winning and winning, of course, a 3rd test match in a row, like Nick said, which leaves Zimbabwe, I think, winless in test cricket at home since 2013. The last time they beat anyone was Pakistan. Greg K saying, I saw Ireland were 5 down in the first session on day 1. Freaking awesome, saying this is the 3rd test victory for Ireland. Zimbabwe's first innings batting was very exciting, lots of ups and downs. And Vignesh Ram has exited the show, but Vignesh, hopefully you tune in later. And if you guys are tuning in right now, like this video, yeah, please. I'm sick and tired of telling you all. Guys, almost no one is given a chance for Oz to win the series with the silence critics to zip. I mean, it was probably inevitable, but I understand where you would have had that thought good to great. And I did
But
skip
was that
any.
the case? Was Sri Lanka favorites entering the series or something like that?
No, but because Australia not won there for 14 years and, Australia not going in there with Cummins and maybe probably just taking the foot off the gas, given that they've already qualified for the WTC, many people thought that Sri Lanka could do them, but it wasn't the case.
Yeah. Sorry, good even Australia played India having not beaten them for 10 years.
It doesn't matter. History just goes into the bin sometimes. Freaking awesome saying this about the Zimbabwe Island series, a 67-run partnership with the 10th wicket was awesome. And even sports fans saying it was a good test match. We could not predict who will win until Zimbabwe lost 7 wickets in the 4th innings. And are you guys going to cover the Indian Street Premier League in today's show? No, not at all. Not at all. Why Akshay, the RCB man, is so quiet and restless as well? We'll come to that in the 12th man segment if we have time for those kind of questions. And freaking awesome saying second test being played at a completely different surface. Thanks for those comments nonetheless. So look, international cricket wise, we've spoken about those 2. And there was plenty of other things that we wanted to chat about, including the Ranji and the SA 20 final and the ILT20 final. So let's just go there really quickly. The ILT20 final, I mean, Sikandar Raza, to do what he did of Mohammad Ahmed in those dying overs, which is brilliant, 34 of 12. And I kept thinking to myself whether it'll beat Desert Vipers, who many were saying deserve to win the tournament given their supreme start. But then Dubai Capitals, I think just the way how they ended the tournament next was good to see. So do you think the best team won the ILT20?
Well, fair and square. If Vipers were the best team, Capitals beat them 4 times. Now you can't ask for anything more from a tournament like that. So, great win for Capitals. To me, I think the pivotal moment came when poor Robin Powell was stumped by Azam, but Azam had his gloves, part of his glove just ahead of the stumps. He was on two, if I'm not wrong, Robin Powell, and then he went on to score the first 50 of the season. Cricket game of margins defined then and there, because then he had a great partnership with Chai Hope. Hope fell, and then you fell, oh, wickets might go from the other end, but Sikandar Raza came in and just provided the right finishing touches. So well done to Capitals. Happy for Shub. Good old Shub will be smiling. Doesn't have to worry about Capitals losing in the final again. So yeah, all happy for it.
Yeah, and the GMR uncle also will be very happy with that
Yeah.
another piece
Yeah,
of silverware.
the belt was top. I mean, that image was great. He looked very happy with that belt around it. Nice stuff.
No, indeed. And Dubai Capitals, they look back at this season, they'll look at certain players like Shea Hope, like Gulbuddin Naeem. They've all been fantastic in terms of getting to glory finally. Elsewhere, the SA20 saw the MI Cape Town win their first ever title, ending the dominance of the Sunrisers Eastern Cape. I feel like even if you look at Trent Bolt, and now he's won a title for each of the MI franchisees, which is madness. The SC20 final with you again, Nix, because I'll come to Akshay with the other thoughts, especially with some WPL breaking news as well. SC20, do you think MI Emirates, oh my God, MI Cape Town deserve to win it?
Yeah, pretty much so. I think it was a very weird season for SA20. I think, if everybody's honest, probably a bit let down by the pitches. It was very, very tough to score on most of them. You could hardly tell who would win if you had to just bat like that. So I think MI set the tone with that opening stand only. Yes, they came back as our Sunrisers, but I think the top order not clicking was a massive worry. They tried Crawley in at the start, and then he hardly scored runs. They replaced him. They got a few people here in, but then if you have a misfiring top order, it never helps. If you compare that to MI, there was a game where Riza did not even have to bat. I mean, Rickleton did the job for them. Rassi Venderson had got the job done for them. And then you had Drevis playing crucial cameos. So I think it was a very good team effort. And even Rabada, we spoke about Rabada in the spaces a while back. This is probably back to the Rabada that we know. Good zip into the ball, getting that lift off the deck. And Rashid, despite always, I'm again very particular with usage of all-rounders, but despite him not always getting it right, they were too good for everybody else in that tournament. So well done.
Sorry, Good to Great. I correct myself. He's been on my case this evening, Mr. Good to Great. But we appreciate all of your comments, including telling me off. So don't worry about it. Sports fan saying, guys, what's your thoughts on Indian businessmen and multinational corporations purchasing stakes and owning teams in the 100 as well? I, again, saw that Sky Sports Cricket podcast where they interviewed that man, Nikesh Arora, I think it was, who's part of the whole 100 bids. And he was dead honest in terms of how cricket is being perceived in the States, how it is, of course, a faster ROI, especially in countries like England and that product of the 100, how it was madness in terms of the Lord's bid being made for the London Spirit. So essentially, I think even for those kind of wealthy men across the side of the world, they still want to invest in cricket, and it's the proof of the pudding's in the 100 indeed. Alan Dolan mentioning about RCB taking a team in the SA20 is just hitting the dark. A franchise looking to buy a team. I'm not sure. Even the SA20, I think if you look closely at some of the fan placards, there was one bloke saying Royal Challengers of Bloemfontein, and who knows if this RCB purchase happening there. By the way, so let's move on to some breaking news. I don't know whether people are spamming the chat with Elise Perry, but Hilda going on to say this, saying Elise Perry's pulled out of the WPL, Akshay. Now, that is some shocking news. It's almost, I mean, unbelievable. Do we trust the sources coming through right now?
I wish I could say yes to that, but nothing online confirms the same. So I'm not sure where you guys are getting this from. If it is true, do share your sources as well. Because I know that Elise Perry herself mentioned a few days ago at the Australian Awards ceremony that, she is doing just fine. Her hips should be able to, withstand the WPL. In fact, RCB themselves put out a post a couple of days ago, regarding Elise Perry and where she is and all of it. So uh, let's hold on to our thoughts there. Elise Perry, in all likelihood, will be playing the WPL, and the WPL will be richer with her in it. So yeah.
If you guys want more deets about the WPL, you guys can go listen to Akshay and Neha's podcast. It's about 2.5 hours long, but they've spoken about each of the 5 teams. Nikhil, I just want to get your perspective on the WPL right now. Who starts favorites? I'm obviously going to say the champions, and it's not very often you say RCB is champions, but they're champions of this one tournament. So I will hold my heart on my sleeve and wear it, rather. Do you think they start favorites? Or again, do you think MI, with the few new recruitments, are looking really good?
I think if Sopra Manu was still playing, I would have definitely said they start favorites. But I think it's a very bad gaping hole. It was a problem that they had last year also, which was fixed by Sophie Maludu, and again she came good in the knockouts as well. So if she is not there and Perry is not there, I think it opens up the tournament. Uh, I genuinely feel this is the year of new franchises winning. So hoping against hope that UP find a way somehow, because there is no really now. So Deepthi can captain, and Deepthi, of course, is named the captain there. So you have Deepthi. Hopefully, Talia can give her good advice, and then you have Sophie and King to play in that order. So I hope UP Warriors are able to do something. Otherwise, I have Giants as a potential proper dark horse. People who, if they come good, I think the tournament will be lit up, because you've seen MI do well. You've seen DC make finals. RCB is won it. So it's these 2 teams that haven't done much. So hopefully this is the year for a new winner then.
Akshay, really quickly with you, because people who don't watch the Women's Cricket Podcast, go watch it. But if they don't, and if they're MNL avid listeners, are you going to say RCB for the sake of it, or do you actually have merit in them being potentially winning this tournament back-to-back times?
Yeah, WPL has always been one of the most difficult tournaments when it comes to picking favorites. RCB, Mumbai, Delhi, since season 1, they have been the ones, they got a massive lead in just that inaugural auction. Yeah. So those 3 sides are at the same level. There's no one team. Sure, you can say this team has more match winners or more bigger names and all of that. But even then, so it would be foolish of me to say this team will be favorites to win the tournament. So those 3 sides are there. But I completely agree with Nikhil Bhai that Gujarat Giants winning the tournament will actually be a massive boost to the WPL, because the first 2 seasons have seen them just been run ragged. And someone like a Deandra Norton, just look out for her. She's been in great form, and on top of that, she will have a thing or two to prove to not just the Indian audience, but to her owners as well, to her money. I mean, not owners, sorry, to her team's owners as well. So there'll be a lot to look forward to on that front. So I'm expecting fireworks from her. Which is why it's even more important that a side like Gujarat Giants wins. But Deepthi Sharma being made captain, that's also an interesting development, to say the least. For what it's worth, they did have someone like a Talia Megra also. The fact that they did go ahead with Deepthi Sharma, thankfully, was the right move. At least according to me, in my eyes, they should have always had an Indian skipper to begin with. The fact that at least they've gone to her now in Lisa Healy's absence. So that was also an interesting development, and looking forward to seeing UP Warriors as well.
So 1 second. So boys, let's just of course put our predictions out, and then we can revisit this MNL later. Winner and a woman to watch in the WPL. Nick, you first.
UP Warriors, I mean, let's just get that out of the way. And women to watch, mean, there are plenty. Difficult to name just one. I want to see how Kashmi Gautam goes. I'm very excited for Dotin Didi, because I feel she'll score a few 50s and take up to 3 first, which will be fun. And I hope we see Okay, I'll keep it to myself. These two only. Thanks.
Okay, Dottin and Kashmi Gotham and UP to win the tournament. Akshay, what about you?
I'll go with Delhi Capitals. They deserve to win. If there is one side that deserves to win the WPL, it is the Delhi Capitals. They've been very good in their first couple of seasons. So yeah, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it in season 3, and hopefully third time's a charm for them. In terms of players to watch out for, one is very difficult. I have three. I'll just spread out the names. There's Sanskriti Gupta from Mumbai Indians, off-spinning all-rounder, left-hand batter, beautiful off spinner. I've spoken about her a bunch of times in the women's cricket podcast as well. She's arguably the only female spinner I've seen bowl at 70 clicks and 100 clicks in the same spell. She's got variations. She drifts the ball. She's fantastic. A proper T20 spinner that way. And a beautiful, elegant left-hand batter to boot. There's Joshita Vijay from RCB. The less said, the better. I've spoken about her enough. Beautiful action again. A pace bowling all-rounder, something India's always been, wanting to have. And we've not had too many solid or full-fledged pace bowling all-rounders. And Joshita is someone who can tick those boxes. So fingers crossed she gets a few chances and does well over there. The other is Kranti Gaud from UP Warriors. Pacer, MP. Guys, just go watch the spell in the Senior Women's ODI Trophy. How she practically won the game for her side, Madhya Pradesh, with that new ball spell. So you guys should just go and check it out. So yeah, these are the three names, and Delhi Capitals for me.
Okay, fine, super. So I will get my prediction out there as well. Asking you to win again. And what's up for Ash Gardner? I've generally been a biggest fan and admirer of hers for the longest time. I think she's going to light up this tournament. Maybe really single-handedly take Gujarat over the line. Sports fans saying, I don't think this time the WPL will have that kind of watching in the OTT platforms, considering Champions Trophy will be happening. On the India games, there's no WPL. So they made that little sort of sitch just so there's more eyeballs on the Champions Trophy. But I think the WPL is growing from strength to strength. So I think there will certainly be a lot of fandom there. Pavan Suresh saying, hi. Hope everything is great this Monday evening, Pavan, and please like this video, man. Asim Hunt saying, as per an article published in Female Cricket, the latest is Elise Perry has stated that her hips aren't a major issue and she should be fine, but she will have more clarity in the coming days. Good to great going on to say Harmanpreet Kaur seems to be a female version of Virat Kohli at the minute when it comes to form. And even for good to great, he's saying Ash Gardner, the women to watch. He's also reckoning Annabelle Sutherland to be a force to reckon with. Alana King and her spin exploits could be really, really good. So let's see. It's going to be a fascinating WPL, fascinating IPL too, but the WPL starts first, 14th of Feb. Whether I'll be doing a watch along or at a date on Valentine's night, you guys can tune in because we are doing a watch along. It'll be Akshay and the girls, and we will, of course, keep you up to date in that regard. Right, time to, of course, move on and talk about Akshay's quiz in a bit, but I just want to wrap up with a Ranji roundup because Tamil Nadu's playing, Mumbai doing some things. So, Akshay, have you been following any of the Ranji action, or you've just like given up on that tournament because Karnataka went out? So you're just like, yeah, my state is out. I don't care.
Went down a while back. So no, I'll be honest. Last week I've caught up on the Sri Lanka Australia series, the Tri series, the India England series, and whatever's been happening with the WPL. So these are the three tournaments I've been just making sure, keeping myself abreast upon. So that's it. So apart from that, unfortunately, guys, Ranji Trophy, Zimbabwe Island, as much as I should have and as much as I would have wanted to, I had too many other things going around here and there. So it was very difficult.
You were going around and the cruise that you were was going around, so that's understandable. Freaking also mentioning Tri-Season in Pakistan, we'll talk about that because, of course, I completely forgot, given that we did a space on Twitter at 7 p.m. talking about Matthew Gretzky, talking about Kane Williamson's 100, but we'll bring it to the MNL listeners right now. But just to rewind on that Ranji chat, any takeaway from Ranji and the quarterfinals in this part of the tournament, Knicks? I mean, good things being done across, but who's really caught the news?
Shardul Thakur, the guy continues to deliver when he's not asked of. Very, very happy for him. I think everybody just continues to write him off and he just continues to find a way. You also had once again, you had a lower order partnership saving Mumbai, which is, again, I don't know, I wouldn't want to call it heritage, but because that's not good reflection on the top order. But Mumbai will take it that way. You also have Rahane scoring runs and Surya Kumar scored runs. So that is something Mumbai will be taking very happily. So let's see. I think Vidarbha looks strong to me. I mean, they have a huge lead, 297 if I'm not wrong. So that looks sorted in front of, at least in terms of that game.
Okay, even Tamil Nadu fans, if you guys are listening to this, it is a tough one for you all in this situation. Day 3 of the quarterfinal, and let's see if they can get some solace out of that. Let's quickly talk about the tri-series then, because freaking awesome is mentioned in the chat. I've let it be. Tanbir, as a Bangladesh fan, enters the chat saying Kane destroyed South Africa. Nix, I asked you in the space, and I'll ask you again. Pakistan, New Zealand, and South Africa playing this. What is it going to tell us, and what has it told us so far? Especially Pakistan losing that first game, not able to chase 330 odd. New Zealand being pretty strong in both games, and South Africa showing bench strength even though they lost today. So, how do you kind of look at it? And then I'll get Akshay's thoughts on it.
Firstly, we all need to get used to ODIs. I read plenty of comments in the last few days about kitna slow hai bhai, but dude, that is how ODIs function. You have to age through that period of 20 to 40, but it is what it is. To be honest, I loved both the games so far because I think in the Pakistan game was very entertaining. Unless till the time Bracewell did not get Aga Salman, you felt, oh, Pakistan have a chance. So I think that game was well set up. Today in particular, I know Bretsky scored 150, but I really enjoyed that 72 ball done from Kane Williamson because again, ODIs, middle overs, it's not easy to go at run a ball. Not everybody is able to do that. Ask England, they have been trying to do that. So for Kane Williamson to just come in and get himself a 72 ball done after a good start in the first game speaks volumes. Conway got good amount of runs. So I think overall it feels like the surfaces will be good to bat on. I genuinely hope for a bit more help for the bowling because today, especially given that it was a day game, I expected a lot more help for the Pacers up top, but wasn't the case to be. But you'll not see early starts in the Champions Trophy also. So hopefully good 250, 300 kind of games, and we see a few last ball thrillers in hopefully the Tri-Series or the Champions Trophy because that is what will keep ODIs in the minds of people.
No, absolutely. It's a good advertisement for ODIs, especially before the month of ODIs, which follows anyway. New Zealand are playing in Lahore after long 21 years, saying freaking awesome. Before the series, New Zealand never won an ODI in Lahore. South Africa playing ODIs in Pakistan after 2007. It's been a while since they played in that part of the woods. Guys, did you see the ball hitting in Rachin Ravindra's eye in the Pakistan versus New Zealand game? That was crazy. Absolutely mad. It hit him straight flush in the face, but I hope he's all good. I mean, even some of the fans at the time couldn't believe their eyes, but that's what happened. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw South Africa's fielding coach doubling up as one of the substitute fielders in today's match. Strange things we've seen. We've not seen that in terms of ODI cricket off late. One thing we've never seen in ODI cricket is a debutant hitting a 150. Matthew Bretsky doing that. Akshay, did you manage to catch any of that in any of the tri-series, like you said?
Highlights, of course, nothing live, but I did manage to catch some of it. Importantly, I will also have to talk about Rachin Ravindra and what the sports fan has also mentioned. That was brutal, to be honest. A laceration is no joke, and the fact that a ball hitting him caused that, and it just hit him flush. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Outfield में खड़े खड़े अगर आपको ball नहीं दिखाई देता, it's saying something about the infrastructure, and an ICC event is going to be held there in less than a couple of weeks. So I really don't know what to make of that. But what this has definitely made me want more is ODIs खेलना ये कम से कम ट्राई सीरीज ही कर दो मेरे भाई. बायलैटरल्स मत खेलो, मैं पक गया. कम से कम इसमें थोड़ा कंटेक्स्ट होता है, कुछ रेलेवेंस होता है, वो मजा आ गया देखने में. But with South Africa, again, they have been riddled with injuries. So good on Matthew Bretsky, the fact that he was able to do so well. Once again, just ensures that South Africa has enough options with them. Andik Nokia was also recently ruled out of the tournament, if I'm not wrong. They also announced his replacement, right?
Bosch. Ethan Bosch.
Corbin Bosch. Oh, yeah.
Corbin Bosch.
Yes. He'll also be excellent to watch. But yeah, New Zealand, South Africa today. Once again, Kane Williamson, the way he's batted, almost this was very similar to how he batted in the SA 20 as well, to be honest. Same tempo, similar strike rates also in some sense. So yeah, he's been in good form. The surfaces in Pakistan will definitely help him. But all in all, yeah, it's there's not much to make out of these games because each side is playing the other team just the once, and then there's the final. So there's only so much you can analyze and dive deep into. So I won't, matlab, yeah, I won't simply jump the gun on that front. But all in all, yeah, Pakistan, the surfaces, we at least now have some sort of an idea of how the surfaces are going to play. But importantly, PCBR, थोड़ा floodlights का देख लो, थोड़ा ये सब देख लो, ताकि आउटफील्ड में और किसी का नाक कान सर ना फोड़े. So please just make sure of that. But yeah, apart from that, batter friendly surfaces, 300 plus scores, a lot of boundaries, as expected in some sense. We will get to see some of that come the Champions Trophy.
Okay, Ayush Kumar saying Corbin Bosch. Yes, Corbin. Sorry, I didn't say. I said Ethan by mistake. But Corbin Bosch, Kwenaman Farka is a traveling reserve as well. And again, Kane Williamson's 100 speaks amazing. So much so that they've achieved their highest ever ODI chase against South Africa, New Zealand. So well done to them. Pawan Suresh, you have a really good one, which we'll give it to you in the 12th man segment in terms of our semi-finals for the Champions Trophy, and we're going to do much more build up to the Champions Trophy, but we'll answer your question in the 12th man in just about 10 minutes time. Disappointed to miss Coetzee and his energetic fist pumps. He's a some bowler who's always in your face, absolutely. And there's another point mentioned by Good to Great saying, though South Africa lost today, they allowed themselves to make a good account of them. Players in form keep before Champions Trophy when the marquee tournament is going to be held. Absolutely true. Tanveer saying Conway grabbed the opportunity today of Rachin and scored 97, and it bodes well for New Zealand as well. And freaking awesome saying South Africa playing with 4 debutants and only 4 players from the Champions Trophy squad. Still, they fought decently today against New Zealand. Brilliant. Even Jason Smith did his bit for South Africa. And like Somi said in that Twitter space, there's now Smith in England, New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia, which is absolutely maddening. Right, time to move on to Akshay's quiz to see how smart you guys are. Like I said, Nick's got it instantly in our private WhatsApp chat, but can you guess it in this week's How's That? Right, over to you, Akshay. But first, as always, the last week question and the last week winner, please.
Yep, let's have last week's How's That out first. There we go. Very simple. We just had a list of 5 events and we wanted you guys to connect the below tours. And it also included the recent England tour of India, the T20Is, of course, 91, 91, 89, 86, and 85. The answer, of course, was the most wickets dismissed across both sides in a bilateral series, T20Is. A lot of you got it right, of course, but like always, there can be just one winner. And this time around, wait, haven't I put out the winner's name? Okay, I haven't put out the winner's name. The winner is Vishal Kulkarni. So congratulations on getting it right, Vishal. Please make sure you get in touch with us on Twitter, and our social media team will do the needful. And of course, coming to this week's How's That, trying to stick to some of that WPL flavor. Connect the below exhaustive list and fill in the blanks. Also, identify what separates the highlighted blank from the rest. I don't know why my graphic designer has missed out on this. By the way, guys, so the first part, so there are 3 parts to this basically. First, you guys have to connect the list. There are 3 missing names. It's a list of 7 names. It's an exhaustive list, which means there are no more names who are a part of this list. It is a list of just 7 players. It's a very exclusive list. So first of all, connect the list. And then you guys have to identify who the 3 missing blanks are. And then you have to identify what separates the highlighted blank from the rest. For some reason, my graphic designer has forgotten to highlight the blank. So, kaun sa highlighted hai? The 4th blank, the one bang in the middle, is the highlighted blank. So, the player between Heather Graham and Laura Wolfhard, which is, of course, guys, all of this is alphabetically arranged. So, that is also a hint. So, the player between Heather Graham and Laura Wolfhard, there's something that separates that player from the rest when it comes to this list. So I want you guys to identify what that is as well. So there are 3 parts to it. Let's see if you guys can get it. Once again, the lucky winner stands to win a cool 500 rupee Amazon voucher from us. Like always, wait for the live stream to end and key in your answers only in the main comment section in order to stay eligible. Nahi to yahan pe doge to you'll only help your fellow viewers, and I don't think that's I mean, yeah, that's not something you want to do. Agar aapko jeetna hai, to please wait for the live stream to end and you guys can enter it yourselves. So there we go.
Right. So this week's Howzzaat? Relatively easy for some, not so straightforward for the others, but tell us after the show. Right. So let's move on and just basically tell you one thing that we forgot to show you in the best of the rest, which is basically what's to watch this week. Lots of things which might catch your eye. Remember that 14th, we're doing the watch along on cricket.com. So be there. We're going to be live. We'll take all your comments. It's the first of the watch along season generally. We're in that time of year. And then there's the rest of the best in terms of ODI cricket. Look at that Wednesday. Sri Lanka, Australia, India, England, Pakistan, South Africa. You can't get better than that. And there's even Zimbabwe, Ireland, and their ODI series kicking off this weekend. So lots to get into. Follow it all on cricket.com. And right now, we'll take some of the comments. Deepak's in there. Good to great. Sports fan, Ayush Kumar, saying a lot of things and things that I've missed in the past throughout this podcast. We'll feature them right now in the 12th man segment. Get your questions in. We'll take them right away. Right, the first one we'll answer is Deepak's because it's the most recent. What is Arshdeep doing in the dugouts? Mate, I think he will start. I think we've just been giving Rana that chance to prove his worth if he has to fill the Bumrah void. But nonetheless, Arshdeep should be a starter in my opinion. I don't know how you see that, Deepak, but I agree with that opinion that it's a waste of time to warm the bench with him. Nick, Arshdeep's a starter for you?
Should be, ideally.
Okay, Akshay?
Has to start without, no questions asked.
Has to start indeed. Pavan Suresh had this one for us. Who do you think can qualify for the semi-final of the Champions Trophy 2025? And he asking particularly South Africa because initially he had this one for us with what he was asking about the Champions Trophy, whatever, your top four pretty much. So I would go first. I would say India, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. Am I playing too safe? Am I leaving out in Afghanistan? Am I not being nice to England? Pakistan? Talk to me, boys.
I'll use the time to say my answer is the same, nothing difference. How do you pick England in this form? Pakistan can do Pakistan things. Afghanistan, if they go through, then South Africa are the ones who will have to suffer. So that is something apne ko manzoor nahi hai. So yeah, that is that.
Akshay, you? Who's your top four Champions Trophy?
I'll actually, for some reason, I'm a lot more Asia-centric with my top four. I'm going with India, Pakistan. I'm going with Australia, Afghanistan from Group B. So India top four, and this is more of a top four I want to see, and less of a top four I actually think will happen. So I'm coming from that place, but I do think this is very much in the realm of possibilities. Each of Pakistan and Afghanistan on their day can do more than just defeating strong opponents. So yeah, I'm hoping that this will be the top four.
Want to see me to film Australia nahi rakhega, but theek hai.
I mean, is Australia just not in your top four because of Cummins and Hazelwood?
नहीं मतलब वैसा नहीं है भाई ऑस्ट्रेलिया इसीलिए रखा है मैंने निखिल भाई बोल रहे तो दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड इट्स अ मिक्स आई लाइक इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया मैं जो चाहूं ना आई कांट रिमूव देम एनी इवेंट यू हैव टू बी इंक्लूडेड यू कांट उसके बाद जो बचे हुए दो ऑप्शंस है वहां पे मैं खेल सकता हूं तो आई एम होपिंग इट विल बी पाकिस्तान एंड अफगानिस्तान
Okay, fair enough. I'm looking through more comments right now which were at the start of the program. Yeah, we took this one. We've taken a lot. Good to critic saying Nikhil, can't Jadoo be played at 5? I think this was after you said, where will you play Jadoo? Now he's come back saying play him at 5, but then what happens to Akshar then?
Can Jadoo be played at 5? Yes, you can play him at 5. But अक्षय वाला प्रभाव यूज करके काबिलियत और नियत में बहुत फर्क है. Will नहीं, can yes.
Nikhil Baju saying also Kohli has never done great in slow UAE pitches in the IPL even when he was at peak. No, Akshay.
यार तब क्या 4 या 5 मैच खेला था ब्रो 15 साल के 12 साल के करियर में या whatever like 2008 to 2020 before IPL first went there 5 बार तो खेला था वो यूएई में. तुम अगर सिर्फ वो 5 मैचेस के बेसिस पे if you want to draw conclusions, it's a bit too harsh. Sure, he did struggle, but I wouldn't look too much into it. And also that was a different format, so apples to oranges comparison. So there's no point looking at it. Let's just wait. Sorry, one question. Is that this is the first time Kohli is playing an ODI in UAE?
I'm thinking the same because I can't remember him playing an ODI.
India themselves are barring the haven't played in UAE, right?
Exactly.
Oh, interesting. So Kohli is making his debut. How often have we seen that in the recent past? Kohli playing in a new country.
And he's never scored a century in Champions Trophy. Sunke feels weird.
Yeah,
but
it feels really
one
weird.
question to both of you.
He's played 3 Champions Trophies, right?
Yeah.
9, 13,
17, 13, 9,
13, 17. Fair enough.
So one question to both of you though. One question. Sorry to change the template there, but I hope that does never happens. But if Virat doesn't score a single 50, how would you be worried about Virat Kohli?
I would be start to worried. I mean, that's obviously reflective in all formats then, because the last time we saw him bat for India, he got 5 of 8. Before that, he was punching his bat, getting out to Poland, I think it was. So it's been a shit time for him. I generally think then it'll all boil down to maybe that India-England series being a last chance saloon for Virat Kohli, the Indian cricketer. I think if he has a rubbish Champions Trophy, there will be questions asked about generally his form as a batter right now. How much will he go back and do all the things that people ask him to do? So, Akshay, that's where I stand with Virat. I think if he has a really shit tournament, then more daggers, but not so much so that before the England tour. I think the England tour will still give us a little bit more of a last chance saloon vibe for Virat.
But I mean, to be honest, knowing how India usually operate, a lot of it will also depend on how Team India itself performs in the Champions Trophy. So, like you said, agar Team India
independent. This is just you as a Virat fan.
अरे मैं तो पहले से ही बोल रहा हूँ. मैं तो last year T20 World Cup के बाद ही I was of the opinion that he should have retired from white ball cricket. Test he should have just held on to it because तब तो फिर भी था कि 2025 WTC खेल सकता है तो वो उसको जीतना चाहिए. That's the one trophy I really think Kohli deserves. Like I don't use that often, that word often, but Kohli deserves the WTC. The WTC deserves the Kohli. If Bhogle was speaking, that's how he said. Okay,
then don't worry. I think Virat will get points. I just hope he'll do that ring bit again in that country.
Okay. Sports fan saying, sorry, India, New Zealand, England, Afghanistan is his prediction. Freaking off saying Pakistan, India, South Africa, and Australia. And good to great saying my 4 for semi-final, India, New Zealand, Afghanistan, South Africa. Brilliant. Freaking awesome saying in the third ODI, better that they promote KL Rahul, Hardik and Jaddu so that they have some game time. Absolutely. Nikhil said that.
How did you get my WhatsApp chat? How did you get my WhatsApp chat?
At the start of the show, Nikhil did mention that. Nix, there's one coming for you from a Babar Azam perspective. Your thoughts on Babar opening in ODIs despite his 60-plus average at number 3. Now, is that the best option to fill in the Sam Ayub void?
Yeah, I'm very torn on that idea because you have him partnering with Fakhar Zaman. Again, they've played enough cricket together in terms of partnership batting. Now, I think Babar's ODI game has always been, you'd say that is his best format. Safe to say that is a format again. It's how crazy, Kane, Rohit, Root, Virat, they all to me are born and brought up on this 50-over format. So for Babar, I think it's a good time to open the batting. I don't think pitches in Pakistan or the conditions are such that he'll be troubled by that ball moving around. So I think it's a good time for him to bat. It's also a good time for him to showcase that I'm here and I'll stamp my authority. So I'll look at it from that lens. Good opportunity for Babar to just resurrect his career of sorts after all the questions that are asked here and there.
Okay, fair enough. Vignesh Ram saying Kohli can play for the next 2027 World Cup even after tournament. Bro is once in a generation talent. He's made the format his. There's no doubt about that. And good to great saying, is it okay to skip Virat and play him only in the semi-final of the Champions Trophy for player of his caliber so that Jaiswal to open Gill at number 3 and help the former gain some confidence? Do you feel it's viable? Not in a Champions Trophy, bro.
Asli ID se gambhir tha.
Yeah, man. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Ahmedabad is not a dead rubber. It is a sporting wicket. But if dew sets in, India should chase. Dead rubber in the sense the series is dead, not from the pitch perspective, indeed.
I have
Obviously,
a sorry to interrupt again. I have a weird feeling. We'll see a Sami for on the wrong end of the evening.
you never know. You never know if that's there. By the way, Vignesh Ram saying, who's plays spin best for India other than Shreyas, guys? Akshay? Is Rohit up there?
Sure, but right up the corner, bhai. KL.
KL and Virat.
Oh,
KL, I think, is a little sedate against spin, no?
I like the smile that Akshay had. Okay, it is how times are, man. He's had. I mean, even before the 2020 bit, Virat had great numbers against left arm spin. Suddenly, something has happened and times have changed. But traditionally, they don't get out very often to them. They may not always strike at a very good rate, but they don't get out to them as well, is what I feel. And Abhi team mein, you have Gill, who again I think plays spin really well.
Gill, I was going to say him because there were a couple of shots that he played with the turn.
Yes.
Other rush is just brilliant. And again, surgical precision as well, just to pierce those two offside fielders. Good to great. Having a good question as well. I'll take that in just a bit. Please like this video, guys. All of you watching right now. Just a handful, maybe on YouTube, but it picks up across the week. So if you guys are listening to us, a quick like won't really do you guys wrong. Vedang, welcome to the show, and good that you've asked us a question in the 12th man segment. We spoke about this earlier, but we'll answer it again for you. Now, he said concerns over Rahul's keeping ability. He didn't look like a specialist keeper in the second ODI, although the pitch had some odd balls misbehaving. I mean, again, these last two games have obviously put a few doubts in people's minds about KL and not kind of being the keeper that we want him to be. But then if you actually look at it from a larger perspective, what he did in the World Cup and generally whenever he's kept wickets, he's not been too shabby. And I would cut him some slack with that regard. Even with his DRS call ability, he's not emotional and sentimental like Pant is often. And that goes in his favor as well when we just talk about wicket-keeping skills. And again, I told you about the whole insurance policy. Even if you want to put him at 6 and remove him from 5, he gives me confidence that he can get India over the line. People will go back to that 2023 World Cup and be like, yeah, what did he do then? Hug Gaya bye and all of that stuff. I think Champions Trophy, let's judge him after that. Do you guys have anything to say on the KL thing, or do you guys echo my thoughts?
I agree that the keeping hasn't been his keeping hasn't been the best, but once again, just solely based on the differential he brings in with the bat, I think it's worth living with. So if Vedang's question is hinted at someone like a Pant being brought in place of Rahul, then no, unfortunately, I'll still stick to Rahul with his slightly shoddy keeping, because just based on batting and what he's done, he is the incumbent, and I don't think he's done enough to warrant an axe, and that's how it works. So yeah,
that's true. Vedang saying Pant doesn't make the squad on the batting ability. Really agree with you. And Pavan Suresh saying, would you like to give Pant instead of Rahul? No, give Rahul more game time and just make him more well-oiled. Good to great saying, Nix, I want to put you on the spot here. How many runs do you bet on Virat in the league games of the Champions Trophy? Please be honest.
गेम्स ना 2 सेंचुरी तो मैंने बोला, एक नॉकआउट में आ जाए तो बढ़िया रहेगा. तो let's go with 183.
183. Okay. That's a score which we all love in Indian captains in ODI history. From you guys know, you know. One more that he asked us, Akshay, guys, do you all have innovative ideas to make dead rubbers like third ODIs a lot more interesting? We spoke about weird rules in the last ODI. Chat that they did in the Hindi live. Go check that out. But to make dead rubbers interesting, I think it's a good one.
Play with one. India could play with one pacer. So I really feel this is Gambhir asking and not good to great, because he could do a lot of interesting things. KL could bat at 3. So I think most of the dead rubbers are interesting if teams are happy to try things out. To that credit, I think England were good to bat first in both the games, because that's not something many people do. Even India, if they expect dew in the last game, I would want them to bat first and bowl with a bad ball. try, because that is what will make interesting. If you're playing spin heavy attack, you're having two left arm spinners. You'll have to use them if it's even if it is wet. Then that way. So I think there are enough cues already there in the system. Baki karne ko to I trust GGs have to do anything.
Yeah, we can do anything in terms of making silly rules. I would have probably liked to see batting orders being reversed. So literally, your tail end was open, Rohit bats last, all of that stuff. So even if it's like 27 for 8, you're relying on Rohit, Gill, and Virat to bat the rest of the ODI overs.
Analyzing your inner Bradman, Avnish?
I mean, it'll honestly be fun. Random comments coming through right now. Prefer Sanju saying Vedam Arekar, Kohli will score 220 runs in the Champions Trophy. And guys, your thoughts on the issues with England's wipeout cricket post Morgan? I think it's definitely a fall-off. They've still gone for the attacking explosive intent, but bar in the opening pair, nothing else gives me conviction. Root, of course, now is gone into ODI history himself with regards to the most 50s for an Englishman in this format. So his form is imperative. Butler in the middle order, we know how explosive he is. So I'm not ruling England out just because they've had iffy tournaments after that 2022 World Cup success down under. I generally don't know. I mean, I think they could probably surprise a few. It depends how they start the campaign against Australia. So only time will tell, guys. But look, I mean, I want to take more and more questions, but we'll have to wrap up proceedings right now. Akshay is going to be stranded in Egypt if we don't. And Nikhil, we can see him later on in the week. And so you guys can see Akshay as well with the WPL watch along and so much of great cricketing action hitting our screens this week. Final thoughts, boys. Akshay, final words from you. Where else? And when you back to office, bro?
Thursday, the 13th of Feb. Until then, upon thoda chilies. So one of you had asked if I was in Dubai. No, close enough, but I'm in Egypt. So abhi filhal chill karenge. Doing a bit of shopping. We'll get a bunch of things to get back home. And apart from that, yeah, I did most of जो भी करना था आज वही जो आपको दिखा यहाँ पे pyramids वगैरह सब देख लिया है. बस shopping बचा, अच्छा खाना खाने का बचा, तो वो सब फिर से खा के coming home a couple of kgs heavier, probably a couple of shades darker, but yeah, a great experience. So just looking forward to coming back home, and the WPL begins a day later. So yeah, fingers crossed, it'll be great fun covering the WPL as well.
With all the new equipment that we finally got after
finally, exactly. I saw the message. I don't know
whether Christmas has come early or Christmas has come bloody late, but look, we're grateful to the admin of our company to getting all those things across. Nikhil, goodbye to you. What's your plan this week? We'll obviously see you in the Hindi live. Anything else which catches your eye apart from the WPL?
Yeah, plenty of exciting things lined up. Going to try a few new content strands. Let's hope all of it comes out well.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow Nikhil, by the way, in terms of his Twitter, Instagram, at CrazyNix. You can see it there. You can follow Akshay at YCricketY and me on Instagram at HegDayEveryday. Thanks so much, guys. You guys have been fun in the chat as always. And like you guys are school kids and where the teacher's telling you, please like and subscribe. It's almost homework that you guys have to do just to propel our algorithm and work wonders for the rest of the cricket community to be grown. That's all we have. Thanks for listening in. We'll always timestamp things for you on the Monday Night Live. So in case you just joined us right now, there's a whole host of things that we've discussed, and we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. It's a goodbye from us.